det jeres engelsklærer Sara her. Jeg skal lige gå igennem nogle af de ting, I kan forvente jer til den mundtlige eksamen i engelsk. Så I ved, hvad I skal gøre, når I kommer, og hvordan I skal håndtere teksten. Jeg vil sådan springe lidt mellem engelsk og dansk, men det håber jeg, I er med på, eftersom jeg er også engelsklærer. Først og fremmest så er der en vejledning i forhold til, hvordan spørgsmålene skal udformes. Så det betyder altså, at I kommer op i ukendt materiale, som er fuldt af nogle korte instrukser på engelsk, som angiver, hvordan I skal arbejde med det. Men altså, det giver også plads til, at I selvstændigt kan lave en præsentation af teksten selvfølgelig. Og det der er simpelthen en lille forside på jeres tekst, den her ukendte tekst, som er mellem 2 til 3 sider. Og altså der står der, hvilket emne det er, og om nogle få, altså noget information om teksten, og hvad der skal arbejdes med. Og så er der, vil jeg give nogle eksempler på instruks til det ukendte tekstmateriale på B-niveau. Non-fiction starter vi med her, ikke? Så for eksempel, hvis vi siger theme, rhetoric, text, Martin Luther King's speech, I have a dream, 1963. Jeg har valgt det her, fordi I kender teksten, så jeg ved I ligesom hvorfor. Men you must analyze and interpret Martin Luther King's speech, I have a dream. Make a presentation, roughly 8 minutes to 10 minutes. Speak as much as you can of the text and relate it to the theme. That means that you have to relate it to rhetoric, the texts that you have read within this theme. Apart from your own points, you must include the following points in your presentation. King's use of stylistic devices or rhetorical devices, it's the same thing, and the message. Well, you all know that we've worked with the rhetorical pentagram. So if you get a non-fiction text, use the rhetorical pentagram so that you present the topic, the intention of the text, what kind of circumstances that we're in, who's the audience, who's the speaker, and then obviously the language is your main focus. How does he or she convince his or her audience? And if it's an interview or an article, basically it's the same kind of job that you have to do. Use the rhetorical pentagram. What is the intention of the sender here? What is it? What's the aim of writing this text? Whatever it is. What topics do we find, and how is the language used? Okay, so these are the things that you will need to work with when it's a non-fiction text. Okay, example of a fiction text. Well, you will most definitely find a short story. Well, it can also be a poem. I haven't picked that though. And it might also be an abridged text. So it's just a short piece of a text, but it will show up. Well, it will be in there if it's an abridged text, assigned for forkortet text. Well, but I made an example here of Clash of Cultures, Dusk Over Atlantic Wharf, which you've read, so you can understand what to do. You must analyze and interpret Dusk Over Atlantic Wharf by Susmita Bhattacharya. Make a presentation of the text and relate it to the theme. Apart from your own points, you must include the following points in your presentation. A characterization of the main character and her development, and narration. So these points are to help you, navigate you to what you need to put focus on, because they are important parts of the text. And when we have when you analyze fiction, you should consider these points. when you prepare for the exam. The narration, point of view. Is it a third person point of view? Is it a first person? Do we have a limited narrator or a non-omniscient narrator, etc.? Also the composition, or the, also say the narrative technique. Do we have a flashback? Is it chronological? Is it in medias res? Is it a frame story? That's the one we worked with in Labor Pains. Basically, you know, you should only talk about this if it's necessary for the understanding of the text. Then obviously you should have a characterization of the main character, the protagonist, and the conflicts that are involved in this text. The setting, we've talked about the physical and the geographical or the historical setting. If it's relevant, use it. And if nothing is said about the setting, or if we don't know anything really about the characters, that might be important too, and something that is relevant to talk about. Bear that in mind. Language. Usually in fiction, we do not put so much effort into talking about the language, but some of these texts that we've worked with, they have quite a lot of irony in them. So make sure that you look for that. Is it an ironic text in a way, and why is ironic? Also, are there any symbols? For instance, with Dusk Over Atlantic Wolf, the weather is symbolic to lotus inner feelings, right? Symbols in fairy tales, or etc. The title might be relevant as well. Is a what can you connect? You might be asked to comment on the title, so if it's relevant, make a reference to this. Themes. It's a good idea to start with the themes for starters, but to as we worked with throughout. So you know, is it clash of cultures, fanaticism? What's it all about? Okay, so what is the discussion that can be made from these themes, and the message, or the aim, or the discussion, the main discussion of the text. Then lastly, work points for each theme, fokuspunkter. When we've worked with all these texts, go through it. For instance, fairy tales. We've worked in fairy tales with these fairy tale models. So make sure that you know these fairy tale models so that you can apply them to the text. Other than that, we worked a lot with reverse gender roles. We worked with intertextuality, and also the development or the transition of the main character. So these points should be considered when you analyze your text. Same goes with clash of cultures. We worked with so many things. We worked with religious fanatics, arranged marriage, and narration, for instance. So yeah, and in South Africa, we worked with apartheid, racism, prejudice, frame stories, and fear. And when it comes to the American dream, well, we worked with the American dream in different ways, for the rich and for the poor. Does it still exist? What's the consequence of some people becoming obscenely rich and some people obscenely poor? The land of opportunities, etc. Is it the land of opportunities indeed? When it comes to rhetoric, you have to bear in mind the rhetorical pentagram and the different rhetorical devices, or stylistic devices. Make sure you know your appeal forms and these different, yeah. So, and robots. Well, here we talked about ethical dilemmas. utopia, dystopia, human versus technology, abuse of technology, where's the limit, human rights of AI, the emotional bond between humans and machine, does it exist, can it exist, or etc. Make sure this is a discussion of the ethical dilemmas. Okay, and lastly, the perks of being a wallflower, which will not be in which will not be an exam text. So, okay, but and lastly, you have to compare the text that you get to one of the texts that you've already read within the same theme. So, and here you should compare similarities and differences. For instance, if you get a Clash of Culture text that deals with arranged marriage, well, it would be irrelevant to compare it to Dusk Over Atlantic Wolf. Or if it's about fanaticism, you compare it to one of the texts that we read there. And yeah, so and then find the similarities, obviously, but most importantly, it's interesting to discuss the differences. How do these texts deal with the same topic, and in what way are they different? Okay. Okay, well, good luck to you all. Just give me a shout if you have any questions.